So a great challenge, of course, in every age is to make the faith real and to deal with the circumstances of life. Sometimes people can think of just everything in terms of faith, and sometimes people can think of everything in terms of the world or culture or society or the challenges or problems we face. Some people think the church should be very involved in politics. Others think, no, it shouldn't be involved in politics at all. But actually, Jesus talked more about things of the world, like money and proper relationships and dealing with people and responsibility and so on, almost than anything else. And so the church, at every time, and all the churches and all the different faiths, have both a need and an opportunity to deal with the society as it is. St. Paul said one time in one of his writings, "First of all, I ask that prayers, petitions, and thanksgiving be offered for everyone, for kings and all in authority, that we may lead a quiet and tranquil life in all devotion and dignity. This is pleasing to God our Savior, who wills everyone to be saved and to come to knowledge of the truth." So the church's outreach then is to people at every time, in every age, and in every circumstance. And throughout the history, certainly of the Catholic Church, well, one could talk about that for a month and one still wouldn't have covered it. But one of the first instances, I think, of that on a very large scale was the most interesting case of Pope Leo I, who was told that Attila the Hun, who was one rough human being, a very savage person, he is coming to Rome and he's going to destroy Rome. And of course, Rome was a famous and beautiful place, and the Pope didn't want to have that. So he rode out on his horse to meet with Attila the Hun, and the two of them talk out there, and nobody knows what they said, but whatever the conversation was, Attila the Hun backed off and did not destroy Rome, which he probably well intended to do, but somehow was persuaded not to. So politics then has a place, but I think it always has to be done in a proper way, and it has to be done with the respect for the faith. There's a few scriptures that come to mind. St. Paul says to the Thessalonians, "We draw courage from our God to preach his good tidings to you in face of great opposition. The exhortation we deliver does not spring from deceit or impure motives or any sort of trickery. Rather, having met the test imposed on us by God, as men entrusted with the good tidings, we speak to you who strive to please God." He said, "I am not ashamed of the gospel. It is the power of God, leading everyone who believes in it to salvation." And that is the position that we would take. Also, a wonderful part of life in any circumstance is dialogue. And dialogue can only take place if we have respect for the other person or for the other group. And one of the challenges we have in our society today is that sometimes, I think I'm all right. I got everything right. I know everything. And the other crowd, they know nothing. Well, that's not a good starting position above all, but it's not going to achieve an awful lot. And one of the great beliefs, of course, of our Catholic faith is that all people are made. Everybody is made in the image and likeness of God. And whether you're a Christian, whether you're a Muslim, whether you're a Jewish person, or any particular denomination, Hindu, Buddhist, or no particular religion at all, well, God knows you, and God made you, and you wouldn't be on this earth if you hadn't been given life by God. And today actually happens to be a very important day in the life of the country here and in the life of the church, where we have the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. And so the Catholic Church very strongly believes in the dignity of human life, and that from conception to natural death, it needs to be protected and loved, appreciated, and in any way that we can, to do what we can to promote life. Very important also to recognize that that involves not just bringing life into existence by having this child born, But now what are we going to do to create a society that will be helpful to that person, that will be able to show the person respect? And then when we have differences, how can we meet with people? The Catholic Church, we have, our bishops do a lot of negotiating with different people, but they also have various conferences and committees that try to work with politicians and so on. As I said in the opening prayer there of St. Paul, for kings and other leaders, there certainly needs to be a certain respect for leaders, whoever they are, the men and women who run our country or run our state or whatever it is. And so we try to show that respect and concern and pray for them, meet with them, try to dialogue with them. And one of the other good things that's interesting in the Catholic Church is we tend to think in terms of decades and centuries, not just months or years. And so what doesn't happen today, well, it may not happen tomorrow, may not happen next year, may not happen 10 years from now. But on the other hand, one has to keep going forward and trying to achieve things and working with people. And again, trusting, my own experience has been that the vast majority of human beings are good people. They mean well. And even when people have ideas very different than our own, well, somehow they got these ideas. Don't know where they got them, and sometimes I wonder how they got them. But on the other hand, I have to recognize that that's where they're coming from. And then to have a dialogue with them, to share one's point of view, try to get into why are you saying the things you're saying? Why do you want to do the things you're doing? This particular way would be, I think, preferable. And then to bring the faith, God's love, God's goodness, Christ, salvation, forgiveness, mercy, all of these things. And we see, of course, in our lives, in our history, enormous situations where people have done terrible things that were wrong, but somehow they came to their senses later on and they asked forgiveness and they are restored. And that's one of the great things in life is that, I don't know if you've ever seen that little bumper sticker, be patient, God is not finished with me yet. So that's something that we want to keep in mind as well in our dialogues and in our political work, to give things time, try to do the very best we can to help people to see that there could be another way. And whenever people are trying to achieve some particular thing, they may think it's the only way. And there's always a great danger of becoming too political in regard to religion, to make it almost like a political party. That's what we don't want to do. And that's why, for instance, Catholic priests are not allowed to take a position in government as a mayor or a governor or anything like that, because we want to make the distinction that we're basically the church is to present Christ and Him crucified, as St. Paul says, our holy faith, our understanding of life from God's teaching that He has given us, and then to bring that to the marketplace and to help people to see that there's a lot of good here. And also that we're not in argument with people who are different from us just because we're being troublesome or we want to have our own way. But we're trying for that dialogue to see how could we both work together. You want to do this. I think we should do it this particular way. Let's talk about it and see how can we best achieve the goals that you want, but also maybe that I have something to contribute to. And if we work together and educate ourselves about the issues and so on, and have our faith then come, we can maybe achieve good things, maybe not right away, but over time. So those are a few thoughts I'd share with you today in regard to dialogue, humane treatment of people, and dealing with the controversial, challenging issues in a holy, spiritual, prayerful, gentle, and of course, the greatest of all the virtues is humility, and so therefore one would always have to be humble in one's own estimation and respectful and humble to the people one is dialoguing with. So I pray that God will bless us and help us to do great things in the years going forward.